What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Macho Movie Madness. I am Brandon. Alongside me, as always, is Andrew. And today, we're going to be doing a review on Halloween Ends. Alright, so, Halloween Ends. Been a subject of a lot of controversy. You basically fall in the love it or hate it camp. And before I give my opinion, what say you?
Yeah, I'm gonna crap all over this one.
Okay.
It's not gonna be nice.
Okay. Well, the more I've thought about it, I didn't really hate the movie when I watched it. I think hate's a strong word for this movie even now, but I am in the camp of I find myself angrier the more I think about it, the more I talk about it. What we were promised, what I thought we were going to get, what I wanted, and what we got. Anyway, so first I want to start off, we'll go down the list of different things covering this movie, characters, plot, stuff like that. I want to start with plot, just to get right into it. The plot, for me,
yeah.
I mean, just, I don't exactly know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Why are you introducing a character the third movie in a trilogy? I mean, we're calling this a trilogy at this point.
Right.
So this is David Gordon Green's. This is Halloween. You know what I mean? so we're in the third movie, the last movie, the final movie, and we're introducing a new character. And we'll talk about characters in a minute. But you're introducing a new character into the third movie in. It's not a good way to do things, for one.
No.
But to put everybody else you've had in this trilogy on the back burner for this character.
For 45 minutes.
For 45 minutes, basically, for this character. I don't know what your headspace is.
Yeah.
I don't know what your headspace is. I know they probably didn't have a real idea of what they wanted to do with this movie.
Right. Yeah, to me it sounds like they had a good idea with Halloween 2018 what they wanted to do, and it's like, uh-oh, that was successful, so now we have to write some sequels.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was Danny McBride who said in an interview that they had ideas for sequels if they went that route, if they wanted to go that route. If this was successful, they had ideas to make more. Now, I don't know how fully fleshed out those ideas were, because now it's seeming like they weren't. Or you either lying or you did not.
If that's the case, we've got ideas for sequels.
Yeah. Please come talk to me. Jason Blum, come talk to me. I don't care. Blumhouse, I don't care who it is. If you want to make a Michael Myers movie, come talk to me. I will take care of everything for you. If it's this easy to make a movie, a Halloween movie even, it doesn't even have to have Michael Myers, and I promise everybody out there, I will give you at least 90 minutes of Michael Myers.
We've even got the mask.
Yeah, I've got the mask. I can do it. I'll do something. I've got a mask I rehauled myself from Tots. It's not even that great of a rehaul. I've seen much better rehauls.
It's still better than 4 and 5.
It's still better than 4 and 5. Just put it in a lot of shadows. It's okay. You can hide it. One, this movie's went in a completely alternate. It feels so far separated from the first two films, or anything else Michael Myers related for that matter.
It really feels like a spinoff.
It feels like a spinoff, and I know people probably have some kind of theory that it's a part of an anthology. It's not, because we'll talk about it in a minute. You know, the character's gone.
Yeah.
The character was a one-shot character. So, yeah, it's not going to be an anthology. It did feel like it could have been, or it did feel like a different film. You know, you even had the Halloween 3 text and font, right? You had the color. It kind of had that feel to it. Right away, you knew something was probably going to be a little bit different. Yeah. Now, do I hate different? No. Do I hate different in Michael Myers? Yes. I mean, I want a Michael Myers film to shocking, you know, this is shocking, be a Michael Myers film.
Right, yes.
So I don't know if it was a pretentious move, or if it was just something that they thought they didn't really have a lot, and if it was just something that they weren't trying to be pretentious about it, they were just trying to wrap this up. They didn't know how to make a 90-minute movie out of it, though. They didn't have anywhere else to go. You couldn't have thought of anything else to do.
Have the town hunting Myers for the entire time, like they did the last movie. Just give us a resolution.
I feel like someone could have picked up. Why not just make this all 2018 Halloween? it probably would have been, like you said, better if the whole town would have just been chasing him, and then he just been picking off the town. Or if Lori would have been chasing him after he killed Karen, which would have been far more interesting than just leaving her dead at the end in some kind of weird psycho, shock value kind of kill at the end of Kills. Why would you just have him chasing him into the woods? Like, chasing him across town, chasing him. Half of the movie could have been at least that.
Better than what we got.
Better than what we got. Yeah.
With Corey.
Allison could have played a much bigger role. So I don't know. Let's just get into the characters then, because we can't really. I don't want to go over the plot. I mean, I just want to tell everybody that I don't like it, and I'm angry about it.
And it's been a week since we've seen it, and it's like the more time grows, the more my anger grows. Yeah, kind of like Michael.
There's things I forgot probably that might have been okay, like some of the Easter eggs. I don't care about that because the rest of the film was not that interesting. There's things that I want to forget, I can't forget, and I can't forgive it.
Yes.
The more I think about it, I can't forgive it. You have a central focused character that becomes a serial killer in the goofiest way, very fast after a traumatic event.
Yeah.
And you have Michael Myers be a mentor and take a back seat. That's the plot in a nutshell. And if you think that sounds crazy, it is. Maybe don't want to watch it. Maybe you don't want to watch it. I don't know. It just depends on how you feel. So let's get into characters, because there's nothing else to really say about the plot. So first, we'll start off by talking about Corey, I guess, and just getting it out of the way, since we're already kind of on.
He's a terrible babysitter.
He's a terrible babysitter.
You don't want him watching your kids.
No, he's not. At the beginning of the movie, he's not a psycho. He's a little bit weird. He's just kind of a weird nerdy kid.
He's going to college to be an engineer or something.
Yeah, just a nerdy loser kind of kid. What I would call a loser, because I grew up, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, where we said things we weren't supposed to that's politically incorrect today. Today, all the nerds are the cool kids, and apparently the band members are apparently people in band, not a band, in band, in band, marching band. Yes. Yeah, not a rock band, a marching band.
So you guys are the guys that took out the guy that took out Michael Myers.
So you have Corey Cunningham, who's babysitting this kid. He accidentally kills the kid in almost kind of. It's kind of a rough scene. It's a little cringy at first. Not a cringy in a cheesy way, but cringy in a oh shit kind of way. But at the same time, it was really goofy watching that doll flop up, the kid falling off the balcony.
And I feel like that's what this movie is going to be known for. I think that's going to be the legacy of this movie.
Yes.
Is the backflip over the balcony.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely a little bit brutal and shocking, and at the same time, not knowing what to expect when I first watched it, I kind of laughed about it a little bit. So because of this incident, half the town at least is branding this guy a freak, a psycho. They think he intentionally done it. The bullies that we briefly mentioned a second ago really pick on Corey. One is kind of a jock-ish, he's got a leather jacket, I think, right? The rest is just some like one's a girl who's kind of a jerk. The other one's another girl that is the stereotypical, like, one that lays back. No, guys, don't pick on him.
One guy's the muscle.
Yeah, one guy's the muscle. Which was, what was the other? There was one other guy, wasn't there? And then the band guy, right?
Right.
Yeah, and the guy that carried the drumsticks around all the time. Which you knew probably there was a little foreshadowing there. Those drumsticks that he always had in his hand was going to be used at some point against him. At least I hope so at this point. After picking on him, Lori finds him. It kind of takes him in. She saves the day and then introduces him. She thought he was kind of cute. She introduces him to Allison. Thought they could hit it off. Turns out, Grandma playing Cupid was not a good idea. And he's really just struggling in town. He's struggling to find his place. He's struggling with his mental state. Allison, being through the trauma she's been through, is doing the same thing. I guess we can talk about both of them together at this point.
I really feel like she's the plot device to get him to Lori and Michael Myers.
I agree. I think it's very weak, and I think other than that, she's pretty much a nothing character in this, which is sad because they could have done so much more with her.
Right.
He didn't even kill anybody. He just got picked on, and they threw him off the bridge.
Yeah, and that homeless man started to attack him.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that was after he had been touched by Myers.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right? So he went down the sewers.
I would like to state how Haddonfield doesn't have a sanitation department.
Yeah.
To find Michael Myers, who's been down there for
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. They don't have a lot of things, apparently, because they've been too busy killing each other and themselves. Because they're too depressed because of the evil that took over. I also want to mention, just real quick, we'll talk about Haddonfield as a character. Actually, all I want to say about Haddonfield as the third or fourth character or whatever in this film that they try to pull off is that no town would be that affected by this. Even with the supernatural thing with Myers that they kind of allude to, but they don't really follow through with because they're inconsistent as hell through this entire trilogy on what to do with Myers and his state between normal human being and supernatural evil. Anyway, back to Corey real quick, just to finish it up. After being touched by Myers in the sewers, he sees his eyes. He doesn't kill Corey because I guess he instills evil in him or just sees how traumatic his life has been in the last couple years, so he lets him go. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he goes out. That's when he gets attacked by the homeless man, which, by the way, should have been played by Nick Castle instead of the weird flasher guy at that party.
Yeah, that would have made sense.
Yeah, so the guy pulled a knife on him. He ended up killing him in some kind of weird kind of self-defense way, but not really. And then that kind of started as bloodlust all of a sudden. I don't know. It wasn't really well thought out. I mean, are we supposed to just like make of what we will with this? I don't know.
All I can say is when the moon hits your eye, that's a Corey.
That's a Corey.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with the eyes and the killing there.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't know. I just don't. Anyway, he descends into madness and then becomes a partner in crime with Michael, like they're Bonnie and Clyde, and Michael's too weak, and yeah. He ends up meeting his end by Michael after a weird bro wrestling session. Like one of them just snaps somebody with a towel in the locker room.
Yeah.
And then they, off camera, back on camera.
Yeah, let's lock up.
Yeah, let's lock
brother.
Up. Yeah, brother. It was probably about as lame as a Ultimate Warrior. Actually, it was kind of like the Ultimate Warrior Triple H match where he beat him and he squashed him in 6 seconds.
Yeah, but it was the other way.
But it was the other way around where Corey beat him in 6 seconds and then took his mask. Quit taking Michael's mask off so much, though, people. Let's quit taking it off so much. All right. Because that's another inconsistency, right? You're utilizing. Is he pure evil? Is he just a man? Is the mask given the power, or does the kills give him the power? Obviously, not the kills are giving him the power, and I can explain that maybe in a minute. But there's not really much else to say about Corey until the end, and other than actually, there's really not much else to say. He's just kind of a character who was a normal kid, kind of weird, and then he descends into madness with the help of Myers.
The end of the character was bad for me too, just as bad as the character was in itself. Just how contrived his death was.
Yeah.
After we spent
all this time,
almost an hour building him up.
Yeah, for him just to meet his end that way because it was finally time to get to what we paid for, right?
Right.
To get
the bait and switch.
Bait and switch. This reminds me of a UFC event where you get a bunch of just trash fights and then you finally get to the end and it lasts 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I just paid $70 for a UFC event, and
it's like an AEW pay-per-view or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just weird garbage, people's hands in their pockets. And then you've got the main event. Then it turns into a WWE main event where there's 5 or 10 minutes of entrances and then...
or the ring blows up with sparklers.
That's probably the best analogy. The whole thing. And the timer runs out, sparklers.
Yeah.
You can't really say much more about Allison because... there's not really much to tell. She kind of seemed like a brat by the end of this to me.
Yeah, just
not that great. Will Patton's character, the sheriff, right? The cop. Was he the sheriff by that point? The chief. Either way, I don't even think he had the badge anymore. At all. He wasn't a cop at all.
He might not have been. He wasn't perceived as a cop.
It wasn't perceived as a cop. Really took a backseat in this. Just had a couple scenes, okay scenes. I like Will Patton a lot.
Yeah, he brought a little bit of humanity.
He did. He really did. Especially for Lori, they got their happy ending, I guess, at the end, finally. But other than that, nothing like the first 2 films. He just kind of took a back seat. Andi Manichek's a great actress. You could have done more with her. Disappointed in that. Willie the Kid. Just throw him out there. okay character, jerk. Like, I mean, like I said, no one in this town's likable to me at all. I like Lori. I like Allison kind of until the end, until all the stuff with Corey started developing, and then she just kind of seemed like a runaway brat because she was tired of dealing with the shit. But
her coworkers were awful.
The doctor was terrible. It's like, and you knew kind of their demise by the end of it. You knew exactly who was going to die and was going to be. Didn't make it even fun to watch. Like, it didn't kill us though.
No.
You know.
No, felt like a Rob Zombie character or something.
Yeah, it was just really thrown away. There's nobody else in this film that I can think of that was really worth a damn. I did find it surprising though that the lady in the wheelchair, the one that got the light tube at the neck, lived.
Yeah, that was a gruesome kill.
Now she's like basically mute and can't do nothing, but that was pretty gruesome, and I really thought she had died in that. Really not anybody else notable. They really spend too much time on Corey, and then quite a bit of time on Lori, but not as much as they should have. And then Michael was kind of an afterthought. They really did him dirty. Before we get into kills, I guess we can talk about Lori and Michael real quick. We don't want to skip over the main event. Lori always kind of seemed to be pretty alert and aware of everything going on around her. Even when she didn't seem like she was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, actually, and yes, I have one for this movie, is when she called the suicide hotline and was going to pretending to commit suicide, and then that he opened the door, and you didn't think I'd really commit suicide, you didn't think I'd kill myself, did you?
Still opening traps for Michael.
Yeah, still opening traps for Michael. Spoiler, it wasn't even Michael. It was Corey after he stole the mask.
My favorite scene didn't have anything to do with any of the main characters at all. It was whenever Copper was using the defibrillator on Norris, and it went through his chest, and his head came off, and he became the Thing. That's the best scene in the entire movie. Just ended it like 3 minutes in.
Yeah, it's over. Lori, other than that, somewhat of a strong character, still kind of the same Lori. There's a little bit of normalcy there at the beginning that they tried to show. I don't know, it was forgettable. I think Lori's character, honestly, in H2O, I thought she was way better in H2O.
Yeah,
I thought her character in H2O was way better.
I'll buy that for $1.
Way stronger, even as the alcoholic. It made more sense. There was still trauma there. She was still living with all this and struggling every day. It was affecting her son. It's already been done, people. I know they wanted to do the Strode family, the girls and all that stuff. That only lasted like one movie. And they just talked about how it was going to be a problem. They never showed how it was going to be a problem. They did a lot of selling through the trailers and through the interviews and all this stuff to give you this big, broad picture of the story they were trying to tell, and they never even told it in the freaking movies.
Yes.
They never... So it's like, I know we were in on it. I know what was supposed to be. That doesn't mean you can't show it in your movie. Tell the story in your movie. You're promising this in the movie. So you're not getting it across to anybody. Do you have anything to say about Lori in this?
I mean, not really. There wasn't any new ground really explored.
No.
Like her character arc. I mean, she just stayed in neutral to me.
Yeah. What else? What else could you do so much with these characters, and you just squandered all of it for this Corey Cunningham story? And I don't know what possessed you to do this, and I don't know if it was your pretentiousness. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it was lack of a coherent vision for 3 movies.
It was. You had an okay idea with what to do with Haddonfield as another character, right? The embodiment of evil and all this, and how it affects other people and the town as a whole, and then how it affects the main characters and their trauma. You didn't deliver. Karen became an afterthought. She died. Oh, he killed my daughter. I want revenge.
Yeah, we'll mention it in one line.
And by the end of last movie, Judy Greer's character, Karen, really kind of had a redemption.
Yeah.
And I believe you've told me that off camera before. It had a redemption to it.
She went, just from not believing her mom about anything.
Yeah.
The arc of that character was pretty impressive.
Yeah, very strong character, likable character, and they killed her off in a shocking, psycho-esque type way, and that's fine, but you did nothing before that to make it mean much, and you didn't do anything after to make it mean anything, it was just in vain, right? Like it. We'll get on to Michael as the last of the characters that I can think of that's even worth talking about. He was
but is he though in this movie?
barely. You took my boy and you ruined him.
Yeah.
What did they do to my boy?
They made him power up like Mario when he got a kill.
Yeah, maybe if that was powering up and it wasn't excitement. Yeah, I don't know what that shaking was. I can almost buy it if it was kind of powering up, but that's another inconsistency because you're talking about a man who's just a man, right? That's how you sell this trilogy. That's how you sell 2018. He's just a man again. He's evil, but you don't know what makes him tick. It's not his sister driving him. I mean, it's just a man, right? But then you kind of make him Jason-like in kills, where his mask is something he cares about. The mask is what makes him, right? Or if that couldn't be inconsistent enough, it's how much he kills, right? Laurie's like he kills and he grows stronger by the minute. You know, the more he kills, the stronger he gets. That's not shown here because he had the hell beat out of him at the end of Kills.
Right.
He got right back up, put his mask on, wiped all of them out.
Pulled the knife out of his
Loved
neck.
it. Loved. Great scene, right? Pulled them all out, went and killed Karen. He should be fine. So what did he do? He's like, well, I killed Karen. That's enough for me for 4 years. So I'm going to go hide in the sewers.
I'm in my 60s. I'll get my AARP card.
Yeah, yes. Well, I guess I'm done. So he sits in the sewers for 4 years and just gets weaker. He didn't think after all these years to just go out and kill somebody if that's what makes him stronger.
I don't get it.
I don't understand what you're doing. What are you doing? You're presenting more questions to the audience than you need to about a character that doesn't need this crap.
Right.
Because he's already scary enough without it. Because I mean, like we're supposed to question why he is the way he is. That's what makes him scary. But you're presenting the wrong questions to us, if that more clarifies it.
Yes.
Better. You're presenting more questions to us that's the wrong questions to ask. He had hardly any kills. Most of them were Corey's under his mask. And by the time you got to the end, you had the final bout where he followed Corey back to get his mask back, and Laurie was there. And then they kill him it was an okay fight. It was okay. It was realist. It was kind of realistic. It was kind of weird when he put his hand up on Laurie's throat and she's like, "Do it." And she might have been talking to Allison at that point because she knew she was there. She seemed to be aware of everything, but it was just still kind of a weird moment. Basically, slit them all up. He bled out. Then they put him on a car and showed him off to the town as they took him to the scrapyard and put him in this grinder and took his body. I mean, okay, that's a definitive way to kill him. Make sure he never comes back again.
And I remember texting you and Chris. I'm like, I hope he was dead, or that was like the biggest mass homicide ever that the cops were.
The cops were in. I did think it was kind of cheesy at the end there where the whole town showed up. I guess I get it in a way. They needed to see the end of the closure. But again, all these people that you don't even know were affected by something that didn't happen to them, just to the people around them. I'm not saying that you can't care. I'm not saying that it wouldn't affect people or upset people in some kind of way. But to the level it did was a bit much. Kills wise, not a lot. What was your favorite?
I'd say probably the one that I said, oh, that was really cool, was when he got the doctor and the nurse, and they're in the background in the low light, and he's stabbing him in the side of the neck and the scarecrow mask. Yeah, I like how that was shot. It's kind of like a reverse nod to the first movie where he comes into focus, and this was just out of focus. Yeah, that was probably mine.
Yeah, I'd have to say for me was Willie the Kid, just because it was creative and kind of goofy. Gruesome. Yeah, he bashed his head in and cut his tongue off, and then and on the record, I thought that was pretty funny. Some of the accidental stuff, the kid's death was a little shocking, but it was also kind of funny. The stepdad or whoever he was, who was a pretty decent little character, trying to actually wanted what's best for Corey. Got shot by the jock trying to shoot Corey. Yeah. Really goofy. I thought that was kind of funny, but
and the girl getting trapped under the the gate.
The gate, yeah, that was pretty good. That's good. He stomped her. She had to watch him with the torch too on that kid. That was pretty cool.
It's pretty creative.
Other than that, there's just not a lot to go around, and I don't have anything really great to say about any of them. And you can't give hardly any of the glory to Michael because it wasn't him.
Right. Yeah. To me, this is a lot like the Friday the 13th Part 5. It's got a lot of tropes.
Yeah, it does.
You got the copycat kid.
I was kind of thinking that the entire time too. Like, man, in Friday 5, it was kind of a whodunit. You didn't find out till the end.
And it was underwhelming.
Yeah, it was underwhelming, and everybody's pissed. This time, you knew who it was, but it was still underwhelming.
You're still pissed.
Still pissed. I don't even really get the divisiveness of this movie because I don't see how a Halloween fan could like it. And I'm not saying it's the worst movie ever, but as something that is billed as the end of a trilogy, as something that's billed as the end of an era, the last final girl, last of Laurie Strode, the last of all this, I just don't know how it could satisfy anybody's appetite for Michael Myers in any way, and it sure as hell shouldn't satisfy your appetite for an ending.
Unless you're into some avant-garde BS, that's just...
I don't. I think if you really want to lie to yourself and you really want to like this movie, you can find ways to like the movie. If you're not a Halloween fan and you're just a slasher fan or a psychological thriller fan, maybe you find a way to like this movie. I don't think it's a poorly shot film.
The music's good.
The music's good. The score by John Carpenter's good. I really liked it. I liked the score better in the 2018 Halloween, but it's pretty good. It's always got good stuff. It's John Carpenter, right? I just don't think that anything else is memorable.
No.
I don't think it's anything that's going to stand the test of time or last. I think I still find better enjoyment out of the older ones. 1 and 2 will always be there. 4 has a new place in my heart. I think it's up there. Even 6 I'm coming around on. And not for the plot necessarily, but for
the feeling
of the movie. And that's a big part of what Michael is. That's a big part of what Halloween is, what the holiday is, what the movies mean to me. And that was so far removed in this that, it took place on Halloween and around Halloween. Didn't feel like Halloween.
Yeah.
Just didn't. And, the first one was all right about that. Kills was an extension of that. It was okay. This did not have any of that. It was just too far separated for me. I'd have to give this a 2 out of 5, just because it wasn't the worst film I've ever seen, because it wasn't the worst shot film and the score was okay.
It's not even the worst film in the franchise.
It's not what I consider the worst film in the franchise.
Not a Michael Myers.
It's just not a Michael Myers movie, and it's just not. And if you're going to do something different like you did with 3, you have to at least give it its own charm, like 3 had. Because I can understand the hate towards 3 at first, but it's got its own charm that we can talk about in another video again. But I think that this just doesn't do that. It's so mediocre that it just falls short. And to me, you might be middle of the road for some people on the list. We'll have to see how it stacks up when we do a re-ranking soon, but it might be farther down.
Yeah,
in a bad way.
I was looking up before we came on. I was looking up Metacritic, which is your critic reviews, and it's higher than Kills as far as what the critics think.
Ends is?
Yes.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that when I saw it.
I unless everybody's just become as pretentious as Daniel Green has,
right?
Maybe, but I know people want different things out of these movies. I know people want different things out of all kinds of movies. But there's a basic formula that you when you go to watch a Friday movie, when you go to watch a Nightmare movie, and when you go to watch a Halloween movie, Scream, whatever, the list goes on. There's a formula, very basic and simple formula.
It failed on every level,
and I think it failed on every level. And the more I think about it, it 100% failed.
Yes.
Maybe not as a movie and how it was put together as a movie, but as a Halloween film, as a Michael Myers film, it's not one.
Yeah, I think you could have took these characters, and if it's anything besides Michael Myers, and like learning from a killer, just random killer, yeah. I think that might have been okay. But when you throw this mythology in it, you're going to make people mad.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the question is, before we close, where do we go from here?
I really don't know. I mean, do you go back to the original idea? You know, I think we'd spoken before about maybe taking off from maybe where 2 left off.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what if Michael survives that blast?
Yeah.
With Dr. Loomis.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't wind up in Smith Grove in a burn unit or something for 10 years or wherever wherever he was at the beginning of 4. He doesn't wind up there. Maybe he escapes before that.
Yeah.
Maybe you have an 80s situation or early mid 80s situation where he's somewhere else. Maybe you can take out some of the comic book stories that they've done. There's different comic books from different points in time that connect these movies together or don't. Maybe they're just their own thing. You could do that. You can do it. There's some that are after Resurrection. You can go any route you want. You can bring Josh Hartnett back. You don't have to bring. You bring Danielle Harris back. You can bring the characters back. You don't have to bring any of them back. You can just allude to them being there and just have a whole new set of people, but just because Myers is the star. That's what we came to see. So
maybe he got mistreated in the mental hospital as a kid and he's going after the nurses. And
maybe you can do whatever you want. Just have that core there, right? It's not that hard. It's not. After that flashback scene and kills, I have all the hope in the world. I have all the confidence. And if you can find somebody like Christopher Nelson to do the makeup and the effects and the mask, or I don't know what has been so hard about getting a good mask all these years, the last 40 years, because we've went through some bad movies with a bad mask, or even some decent movies with bad masks. Like 4 is an amazing Halloween movie with a very bad mask, right?
But if you can recreate Dr. Loomis's face in that movie,
that's what I'm saying.
Surely you can do a mask justice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You even if you wanted to bring Loomis back and do that in a homage to Donald Pleasance, I don't care. That's fine. That flashback scene showed me that you can do a film in that era, even a little bit after, just fine. After like movies like X, Pearl. There's things people with the capabilities, with the right knowledge, and a right cinematographer could do all of this, no problem. And you've got your Michael. I think that's where you go. And on maybe in an offshoot as well on the side, you have an anthology, and you can bring some of these older guys back and do what they wanted to do. I'm not even opposed to that. Now, I don't want to get rid of the Myers stuff, but I think that having a Halloween 3-esque type movie again with I love the Celtic stuff. Anything supernatural. I don't want it to be too supernatural because then you're going to be getting into the Conjuring or the Paranormal Activity stuff. I don't necessarily need that.
Right.
I like your Tales from the Crypt style stories. You know what I mean? I like that.
And that's what 3 was. 3 was wild.
3 was wild, and I know it took a while for me to come around on it, and I think it's finally getting some acknowledgement now that it should have a long time ago. But you can do a Season of the Witch style anthology where it's different things. You can do other Halloween related incidents like Trick or Treat did, and you can just have different stories. You can have it in the same universe, just different things. I don't care. There's different things you can do with that franchise in that way. But over here, you also got your Myers movies where it follows a fundamental formula and you've got it. And I think you go back to its roots, not like 2018 did. I think you go back to the roots of the character, but I think you can still follow some of the story, or pick up from a different part of the timeline where some of that stuff's not canon, or in some of the stuff is canon again. I know I've told you before, I'm going to say it again, Halloween 2 is one of my favorite movies in the franchise, right after the first one probably. And as much as I like this 2018, I should say, and Kills, I have a newfound appreciation after Ends 4.
Yeah.
I'm still upset. I was still upset about 2 not being canon. So because all the hoopla about Laurie being his sister or not in 2018 and all the marketing around that movie didn't make a damn in the first place. No. You do nothing with it. It doesn't make it. They still wound up together in stupid ways anyway.
And most people who probably didn't know that you weren't going that way would have had no idea.
And the thing is, if you didn't utilize Michael and who he was as an evil entity anyway that well. So, and you only were doing 3 movies. So what does it matter if no one's in? And I doubt anybody's going to continue this story. There's nothing to continue, right? There's no Myers. Lori's got her happy ending, and Corey's gone. There's no more to tell. You wrapped it up. That's fine. So it's done. That's it. That can sit over here now, and people can like it like they like the Nolan Batmans or whatever they like, right? You know, that's their own thing. That's his own thing. He's got his trilogy. That's cool. But over here, you got to have something. You got to have Myers. Why not still do we've been used to it for 40 years. The familiar thing, the familiar, whatever I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? The familia thing. The family thing.
Familia, yeah.
Familia.
Half
the familia thing, you know.
Talking like half the people in Inns were from Brooklyn.
Yeah, from Brooklyn.
In the Midwest.
In the Midwest, in Illinois. Ridiculous. So the whole familia thing can still be there. You know, he can I don't care. He don't have to just go after his family. He doesn't have to go after Lori anymore. It's over. That can be done. But if there's family there, or we can still at least acknowledge that there's family there. We have family over here. If you want to continue after Resurrection, there's still a Josh Hartnett out there. You know, there's still a John, you know, John Tate out there. Depending on where you want to pick up 4, 5, 6, or whatever, there might still be a Jamie Lloyd there.
Is there a Kara Strode there somewhere?
There might be. You know, like there might be. So there's different things you can do. And you don't necessarily have to say that Lori's not his sister, because that gives it its own charm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know that we're gonna see how the lawsuit goes with Friday the 13th. There might be some weird changes in that just to get around some copyright issues.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, we all know that Pamela Voorhees exists, and it's Jason's mom. Now, if we go beyond this and it's just called Camp Blood or whatever it's going to be called, and it's just Jason. We know he's got a mother. We know what the background is. Now we can move on to what he does best, and that's kill a bunch of naked teenagers.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's all we ever want to see.
Yeah.
Just want to...
Is that too much to ask?
A bunch of naked young people dying. I think we can probably wrap it up now, but yeah, not a good score. About a 2 out of 5 for me on Ends.
Yeah, at the most.
The series as a whole, it really brings it down. I'd say 3 out of 5 because I think 2018 was strong enough for me, and Kills I got a newfound appreciation for that. Not beyond the flashback. Still I don't want to get into the whole mob scene and all that bull.
But it makes you appreciate that was a better movie than this.
Absolutely, and at least more fun.
Yeah,
it was definitely a better popcorn film than this, and at the end of the day, I would take that over whatever mess this tried to be. So, at the end of the day, you guys missed it.
Yeah, by a mile.
Yeah, and that's it.
So like Michael Myers, after Dr. Loomis shot him 6 times off the balcony, we gone.